Growing chayote squash in your backyard is easier than most people think. In today's episode, we'll go step by step through everything you need to know: how to start from a grocery store chayote squash, how to sprout it, plant it, care for it, and finally harvest your own homegrown chayote squash. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this gardening journey. Let's begin with the basics. Here you can see the chayote squash we picked up from a local dollar store. It's unfortunate that many of these small stores are closing, but you can usually find good quality chayote squash at Asian or Mexican grocery markets. Choose fruits that are firm, large, and of good quality. These will grow into strong, productive chayote squash plants. Chayote squash, also called christophine, mirliton, güisquil, or choko, belongs to the gourd family, the same family as cucumbers and pumpkins. One amazing feature of the chayote squash plant is that it supports viviparous germination. That means the new plant can actually start growing while still inside the fruit. Sometimes you'll even see a small sprout poking out of a store-bought chayote squash before you plant it. To get that process started, we'll create a humid environment using a simple Ziploc bag. First, lightly dip each chayote squash in water. This helps the fruit retain just enough surface moisture to trigger sprouting. You don't want to soak it. Too much water can lead to fungal problems and root rot. After dipping, place the chayote squash inside the Ziploc bag. Do the same for all of them. Then, just add a few drops of water to keep the air slightly humid. Remove any trapped air and seal the bag tight. Now set the bag in a warm, bright location, but out of direct sunlight. Over the next 2 weeks, the chayote squash will begin to germinate. You'll notice tiny roots forming and then a shoot emerging from the top of the fruit. Once you clearly see the roots and a small stem, open the bag. Don't wait too long. If you leave the chayote squash sealed after sprouting, fungus can develop inside. Take a look at these beautiful young roots. This is the moment when the chayote squash is ready for planting. Make sure the roots look healthy and firm before you move on. Keep the soil evenly moist but never soggy. Within a few days, you will see new green shoots forming, and the chayote squash fruit will slowly begin to soften and break down. That's completely normal. Once the plant develops several leaves and a strong root system, it's time to transplant your chayote squash outdoors. Chayote squash doesn't enjoy damp, compact conditions. It thrives in loose, well-draining soil. To plant the chayote squash, use a 1-gallon pot filled with well-draining potting mix. Place the fruit horizontally with the sprout facing upward and make sure that the roots are touching the soil surface. Leave a small space for the stem to grow freely. Here's a quick tip. Cover the top area with pumice or coarse sand. As the fruit decomposes, it can attract fungus gnats. A layer of pumice helps prevent that. Pack the soil gently around the chayote squash so that it stays in place when watering or moving the pot. Then water thoroughly to settle the soil and wash away any loose dirt from the sprout. Here in Irvine, California, we are lucky to have sandy soil, which is perfect for growing chayote squash. Avoid clay soil if you can, since the roots don't like heavy or waterlogged ground. Choose a sunny location. Full sun will give you the best growth and fruiting. We've built a large, sturdy trellis for our chayote squash using concrete remesh sheets, rebars, and EMT conduits, all tied together securely. When transplanting, remove the small trellis or stake from the pot first. Tap the sides of the container to loosen the soil. Then, gently turn the pot upside down to slide the plant out. Dig a hole deep enough for the root ball. I initially started digging the soil with my bare hands, and I quickly realized that I had reached the subsoil level, or the area where the relatively hard soil starts. So I then turned to using a trowel for digging the hole. Now you need to make sure that your hole is big enough, deep enough to accommodate the whole pot securely, just like you see here. And then pack the sides of the plant with some soil to set it in place. We'll do the same thing with the other pot as well. We're digging a hole which is big enough to accommodate the plant. And you can plant about 2 or 3 chayote squash around each other. This is a good idea because they will cross-pollinate each other when forming the fruits. So it's a good idea to get at least 2 or 3 plants and put them together. Set the plant in place and backfill with soil, pressing slightly to remove air gaps. Give it a good drink of water and tie the stem loosely to the trellis for support. Over the next few months, the chayote squash vine will grow rapidly. The plant loves warm weather and consistent moisture. We used a slow-release organic fertilizer twice during the growing season and a drip irrigation system to keep the soil evenly hydrated. That's all chayote squash really needs: sunlight, space, and steady watering. By late summer, you'll start to see small green fruits forming under the vines. It's exciting to watch. The chayote squash develops quickly once flowering begins. Keep an eye out for fruit size. Harvest when they're firm, bright green, and about the size of your palm. The vines of the chayote squash grow fast and long, so a solid support structure is essential. If you live in Southern California or a similar climate, try planting your chayote squash around February or March. It will grow steadily through spring and summer, and you'll start harvesting fruits by early fall. And now for the best part, harvesting. Look at these beautiful mature chayote squash hanging from the vine. They're plump, crisp, and completely organic. Twist them gently off the stem or cut them with pruning shears. Freshly harvested chayote squash tastes incredible, mild, slightly sweet, and perfect for stir fries, curries, or salads. The entire process took about 6 months from sprouting to harvest, and with just a few plants, you can easily produce dozens of fruits each season. Chayote squash is not only easy to grow, but also incredibly nutritious. It's rich in vitamin C, fiber, and antioxidants, supporting digestion and heart health. Plus, growing your own means you know exactly how it was cared for. No chemicals, no sprays, just pure homegrown goodness. We've harvested a nice basket of chayote squash today, and every fruit was grown right here at home. And that wraps up our full guide to growing chayote squash from store-bought fruit to harvest. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, share it with fellow gardeners, and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. Until next time, happy gardening!